The people who drop names, the people who fold money in their driver's licence, the people who try threats or even tears. The Highway Patrol has seen them all. And for every story you give them about hurrying to see a sick grandmother, you can bet they've heard 1,000. Each year in Australia, about 1 in 5 motorists will be pulled up by police. That doesn't make them the most popular people around, and there are always complaints about how they should be out chasing real criminals instead of handing out tickets. The fact is, they do both, and a lot more most of us never really hear about. The side of the Highway Patrol you don't see. Ordinary men getting ready for a day's work.
You get us a bit of water on the windscreen over here when you're ready, mate. Get the soap off.
Well, you'd have this finished by now.
He knows when they come around, the job's nearly over. Have a go at it. Nice one.
But once they get on the job, they're far from ordinary. Whether behind the wheel of a high-powered patrol car or a motorbike capable of doing 200 kilometres an hour.
This vehicle is a 72 Ford tabletop green colour, not reported.
Big machines, leather jackets and pants tailored to fit. It's the full macho image, and it all adds up to one thing: power.
It feels good to look good. I don't get off on this sort of gear, you know. I'm not into leathers and whips and that sort of thing.
It's not a power thing to you. You're not on a power trip.
No.
That's not why you became a policeman.
No.
You've never wanted to flex your muscles, to use that power, just to show someone who's boss.
No.
If you drive a car, then the chances are that sometime, somewhere, you'll meet up with those people, the Highway Patrol. And equally, the chances are that you'll part company, not very good friends. But then, the Highway Patrol aren't in the business of making friends. They're the sort of people you can both love and hate. Your best friend when there's trouble and you need help. Your worst enemy when you're in your car and you break the law.
Righto, he's on his way. He's running fairly well. He's up approaching 130.
It's Saturday night, and Ken Sawkins and Mick Tiltman are on patrol. They're a kind of Starsky and Hutch combination, without the glamour and the Hollywood script. But then, this is the real thing.
110. Righto, checking at 110. 110, he's steady on 110.
Well, let's have a blue light, mate. Sirens. The blue light on. 110. 60 area.
I'll see your licence plate.
Just hop over on the footpath a little bit further so I'm off the road, thanks.
It's odds on the chase will end up like this, with an $80 speeding ticket.
Breaking down, is it?
Mine's broken.
Oh, I was going to say it seemed to be going pretty well to me.
Between them, Sawkins and
When does
Tiltman
your
will dish out
licence come
over
up for renewal?
2,000 of these each year. And that doesn't make them too many friends.
Well, I seriously suggest that you slow it down, okay? So far as Highway Patrol go, we're not selling a very popular product. Ian, we're
No,
not
I
after
also
that
say
lady, that little old lady that's poking along that might have just not taken a little bit of notice of a speed limit, let the car roll down the hill and...
But that's exactly what people say you do.
Well, you know, people by their nature don't like being told they're wrong.
There's 1,000 things we could book people for, but we don't. We're after the more gutsy stuff, if you want for a better word.
So what you're saying is that you give the little fish a chance, you let them off.
Sure, yeah, of
Well,
course.
to be honest, there's too many big fish to what would almost be a tantamount to wasting our time with the small fish.
We're after that more deliberate person, the hardcore traffic offender that is obviously out to kill somebody.
The potential killer?
Yep, sure.
Sawkins and Tiltman say they're sitting ducks for abuse and even threats.
I pulled up a young guy on a bike for an offence. And halfway through the discussion as to his particulars, etc., he asked me if the bike I was riding was the bike I always rode. I said yes. So then he turned immediately and said, well, I hope you get killed on it. And there was no humour in what he said. It was eyeball to eyeball.
He meant it.
He meant it.
A policeman cops a lot of flack.
Heaps.
A lot of names.
Heaps.
Not too nice names. Does that ever hurt?
Nothing worse than you hear somebody in the background say pig, oink. Got to be one hell of a broad-shouldered man to really cop it. I mean, generally, most people would turn around and give somebody a punch in the nose for it if they were calling names at them. And I suppose it's the old sticks and stones will break my bones, but...
Have you ever felt like doing that, retaliating?
Sure have.
Punch someone on the nose?
Oh, lots of times.
You'd like to do that?
Yeah, I would.
If it's tough being a policeman, then it's just as tough on their wives. Ken Sorkin's wife, Chris.
He comes home and he's very upset because sometimes he's come home from a fatal accident. He's had to go and inform people that their mother, their father, sons, daughters have just been killed in the accident, and then they leave there and they go out the next person, they book calls and pig.
A typical Aussie barbecue. Except for the guest list. Everyone here is either a policeman or a policeman's wife. No outsiders. When policemen get together, that's the way it normally is. Unfriendly? Maybe just offensive would be a better way of putting it.
Oh, no, I think it's a case of us sticking together to be defensive. I think we know we can come here where we're all coppers. We know we're not going to be hassled about someone who got booked last week or someone they struck that spoke roughly to them. We're all coppers, we're all doing the same job, so we know we can just relax and be ourselves here. No one's going to be watching and saying, look, he's a copper and look how much he's had to drink. We haven't got that sort of worry.
Do you ever hide from the fact that your husband's a policeman?
Yes,
You hide from it?
yes. When in a previous job, I was still working under my maiden name, which was, you know, it didn't matter whether they knew I was married to a policeman or not, because I still was working under my maiden name. But now, I quite often avoid it.
Have you ever gone to a party and deliberately tried to hide from the fact that you are a policeman? You haven't told anyone?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. It depends on the mixed company, but, you know, you go to a party, maybe somebody's having a smoke on a joint or whatever they call it, and they nearly swallow the thing when they find out there's a policeman present, so, you know.
Good mates around the barbecue and out on the road as well. And that leads to accusations like one rule for them, another rule for the rest of us.
I don't know, Ian. I think if you're inhuman, you could perhaps go around and book all your mates, and then, you know, that'd be a situation that'd last a very short time so far as being able to call anybody a mate, because you wouldn't have any left. No, I think you've got to be a little bit realistic, and, you know, the mate I might let off, the other policeman will get some other time.
What if it was your mother or your sister? Would you book her?
No. If you want an answer. I've got other ways of dealing with that situation. I don't think the public would be horrified if I turned around and let my mother off for a traffic notice.
If I ever had to speak to my mother about a traffic matter that I considered serious enough to stop her for, I think I'd have to get out of the job, because, once again, I wouldn't book her. That's my mother. I mean, I love her.
If Ken Sorkins ever has to talk to his mother about her driving, it's most likely it'll be from behind a radar gun. This is the bread and butter of the Highway Patrol. They book more motorists by radar than any other way. Now, this is a straight stretch of road. Everyone can see you. But let's be honest. Let's be realistic. You don't do it this way all the time.
With what regard? Do you mean
radar.
hiding around corners and over hill crests and things like this? Well, we simply can't operate the radar unless the location is suitable for us as an operator. We don't want to be subject of complaint, and we have our certain guidelines within the department as radar operators where we are to set the instrument up.
But it's simply not true. It might be in your case, but not all the time, that you're as open as this.
Oh, look, you know, you've got 800-odd policemen in the Highway Patrol.
So not every highway patrolman goes by the book.
Oh,
well,
yes.
I don't know. Does every butcher put fresh meat in his sausages? I don't know. You know, the ones that I work with and the ones that work with me do.
Crio. Will you crio?
Hey, yes, buddy.
Yes.
How are you?
Plenty books today?
Oh, That you get you, yeah. A little bit.
Police chasing revenue. And there's something else they're accused of. Freeloading. At this late-night restaurant, everything is on the house to the highway patrol.
A little bit tomato, a little bit lettuce, please. Not too much salt.
A free hamburger, or maybe a free haircut now and again. Hardly big-time corruption. Not that they're not offered the chance to be corrupted. And not just in terms of money.
Some stories you all but fall about laughing. I mean, they're so ludicrous that it's obviously a once that they've tried it on, and if you don't wear it, they just sit there and shut up, and that's it. They've tried their best shot.
They're a funny kettle of fish, the women. When you stop them, they let all the stops out to try and get out of it.
What are some of the things they do?
You know, when they're getting their licence out of the glove box and things like that, they reach right over. I mean, any woman in her right mind would know that her dress has come halfway up her back, and
but that doesn't go down.
You can't help looking either, but it's got nothing to do with the traffic offence you've stopped them for, and you know, I suppose people are a little bit wary in their approaches to police too. They've got to be careful, but they do try.
I had an instance where I was reporting a woman for an offence that was a very blatant offence. It was a transit lane offence, and that all the time she didn't get out of the vehicle. All the time I spoke to her, it was through the driver's window, etc. And she was sitting there on her way to work with a very low-cut frock and a high-cut hem that came well up to the tops of the legs, and a fairly ungainly position, if I can put it that way. And it didn't alter the whole time I was talking to her. And when I asked her for a licence, she said, "Am I going to be booked?" And I said, "Well, yes, you are." And at that instant, the dress was closed at the top, the legs were crossed, and the skirt was pulled across with a rush.
What about money? I'm talking about straight-out bribes to get out of a ticket.
Yes. I had one chap one day run back to me and threw 3 $20 notes into my lap before I even got out of the police car. And, of course, I just got straight out of the car and let it fall onto the ground. I said, I don't know if that's your money up there, but it's blowing away. You better go and get it. Now, just wait here till I finish speaking with you, thank you.
What about name dropping? People try that?
It's a common practice. Anybody who knows a copper must be sorely tempted to try it because of this story that goes about, you know, oh, it's sweet, if you know the coppers, you're on side. And you find it happens quite a bit. I mean, there are guys that I work with who have stopped motorists, and the motorist has said to them, "Oh, look, it's all right, I know Joe Blow," and they are Joe Blow. And the guy is suddenly confronted with the person whose name is dropping.
Before you start,
yes,
I would like to say that I'm a friend of Harvey Jergens.
Yes.
He's just left the police force.
Yes.
And Harvey and I have always been able to sort things out.
It's situations like this that Mick Tiltman is talking about. The name this man dropped happens to be Mick's boss, a sergeant at the Highway Patrol.
Oh, dear. Doesn't look real well.
And this is when all the stories in the world don't count.
Can you answer my question, sir? Have you had anything to drink? You can't.
I won't.
When you're drunk, you're driving and you're caught.
I'm going to submit you to an alcohol test, okay? All right. Could you just get the kit for us, please?
It's their pet hate. In New South Wales alone, in just 4 months, nearly 40,000 motorists blew the bag. 10,000 of them were charged.
Just come over here for a moment, please. Just come over here with us, please, for a moment. Don't say no, sir. You're under arrest. I want you to come over to the police vehicle, okay? I won't be hitting you. I want you to come to the police vehicle.
This driver was 4 times over the limit. They're everyone's favourite whipping boy, the grown-ups version of the boogeyman who can get you when you least expect it. But if you may ever need the Highway Patrol, it's nice to know that they're around.
You know, and there's people that hate us when we stop them, and there are people that like us when we can help them. But I don't honestly think there is anybody who can honestly say they can do without us.
Hello, I'm Tom Steinfort. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our Extra Minutes segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au, as well as the 9Now app.